One second. All right. Good afternoon, guys. God bless you. Hope everyone having a great afternoon. Today's topic is going to be a little bit a pick up from what we left off yesterday. We're going to be talking about men, daughters, and double standards. How you doing today, CEO Socialite? How you doing today, Swift?
Good, good.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna kick off with the first question. Why do you think so many men say they're afraid of having daughters? I'm gonna start with you, Swift.
Probably just because they don't want, the typical stereotypes like they're gonna be, going insane at the time of their daughter wanting to have a boyfriend or dating or give them wanting a cell phone, social media, all of those things kind of intertwine into that uh, position that most men are following up on.
Okay, okay. And I know for me, right, it was like a huge thing. One moment. I think she's saying she can't hear you. One second.
Okay.
Hey, CEO Socialite, can you hear Swift now?
No, I can hear you, just not him.
Hey,
Okay.
Swift, say something.
Can you hear me?
Are you? Oh, he's speaking. Can you hear him?
Yeah, can you hear me,
No,
man?
I can't. I can see where where it's indicating that he's speaking. I just can't actually hear it.
Hmm.
Okay. Because I can hear both you guys. One second. I'm gonna take both you
Perfect.
guys off the stage and then
What's it called?
re-add.
Just take me out and put me back in.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do right real quick. One
Yeah.
second. How about now? Can you hear him?
Testing, testing.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, she didn't hear what you said, Swift. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
ahead and re-ask the question for a
Okay.
little bit more clarity, so everyone on the same page. So my first question was, why do you think so many men say they're afraid of having daughters?
Okay. So I think because of when they get to the age of saying, that they want to have a boyfriend or that they want a cell phone, social media concerns, internet concerns, in the sense of like who they're reaching out to, who might be trying to reach out to them, um, and those kind of things that follow that tendency.
Okay, I would agree. I know for me, right? Like when I would consider like in high school days when I would just dating wild. I used to have this thing to where like every time I'm with a female, I would ask her like, "Hey, why do you do these things you do?" Subconsciously in my mind, I was preparing for when I have a daughter. These are the things I do not want my daughter to do. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
at one stage, for us as men, at one point when you're a boy, it's like a number thing. How many
Sure.
numbers, where the holes at. But
Sure.
it's a subconscious thing because those girls that fall for that, we know deep in, it's like it's crazy. It's like we're wired this way. We know that's not wifey material. We know that's not what we would want, right? The one that rejects us, that's the one subconsciously I feel like we have the most respect for. We might see a guy out there later on in life and he's with, I'm just gonna throw a name out, Jasmine. I'm like, yo, how did Nelly get Jasmine? I know she was a hard one. You know what I mean? No one,
Sure.
because men, we're kind of like wired to not, we like the challenge. We don't like nothing easy, even though some men might act like that. And I feel like with entertainment too, right? It pulls off that perception on both sides. Women might see a lot of this and think, okay, that's what men want, and vice versa. And it's really not. Like I think every man, like you go out there, and even if you have like you're successful, you go out to the wine and dine, the 5-star restaurant. After a while, that gets old. If we sitting in the house and you can't cook me a meal, you don't listen when I say something. I don't feel like a leader. I don't feel appreciated. That relationship, I feel like, is gonna crumble. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now we all on here know that, okay, cool, any relationship without God, but even if someone is not there in their life, they'll feel like something is missing from this. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you chime in, see your socialite.
I am super excited for you guys to lead this one. I'll chime in, but I think this is something that, like, man's perspective, because yeah, I'm super interested in what, like, when guys get to actually have to break down the thought process behind that statement, because it's such a blanket statement. It's something that's like, don't want a daughter, that's my karma. And men are just like, it's one of those things that's said and it's supposed to be understood. So when you actually have to sit with it and sit with what it means about how you feel about your past actions, masculinity, femininity, because I understand what you're saying about, like, women being able to cook and having basically substance, when the lust wears off, or, like, going after a woman for her looks, or the thrill of sex wears off, because I'm assuming that
Hmm.
that's where a lot of this comes from. Like, it's okay, the cheap thrill. And now that that's worn out, it's like, I think a lot of men seek that in their youth. Cheap thrill, it's like
Hmm.
a bag of cheap thrills. So having a daughter would measure their past behavior, and that doesn't sit well with men, which should alarm men. Far too, it's like, what have you done to women that you are so terrified of having to be connected or responsible for a woman? It's why men say that they don't want to be married a lot of times. They don't want daughters. And I think that men need to sit with that a little bit more when they're making decisions. And I think that we need to raise our men differently, because we're creating hypersexual deviants. That don't feel they don't men don't sit well. It's usually something off with a man, just like it'd be off with a woman. It's like you're 60, still going after, just like, 50, 60 years old, and you want to sleep with somebody different every night. It's like, what's up with you? Something's off with you. I think too, just like a woman is taught to respect herself or whatever, it wouldn't hurt to teach men that. This whole notion that men are animals and they have to sleep with something, and that they can't have substance, and we can't care about our boys' feelings. We need to start doing that differently, and it's going to take men to champion that. Women aren't going to have any success. Women don't have success with trying to make a man do anything. Men have to do that. Iron has to sharpen iron. So yeah, I don't know.
Before I say anything, because I have a lot to say with that. Swift, you have nothing to say?
No, those are all really good points. I mean, it's true. On in all standard, it's it's true. That's how it's kind of like the framework is kind of based off of that. Like it's a stereotype, and instead of, I guess, giving like the good advice, people just want to give like the cool advice, or what they assume
Yeah.
would be the cool advice, right?
Because I feel like it's like she said too. It starts with like, because there's a thing out there. Your son is growing up. You give him a pack of condoms. Your daughter he asks to go to a party. You give him a pack of condoms. Hey, protect yourself. Your daughter going out is like a whole different thing. It's like every worst thing that you can imagine happening. All your fears, the things you didn't did, everything, like as a man, come crashing back to you. And I feel like, yeah, life does promote a false double standard, and it kind of makes men detach. You think it's cool out there to have sex with all these women, not knowing that, hey, you're giving up a part of yourself. You know what I mean? It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you feel
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed around your homeboys to say, hey, yeah, I'm a virgin, because they're going to like make fun of you. You know what I mean? And it's just
Sure.
it's kind of crazy when you think about it. I know for me, because it's like when I finally have a daughter, I'm like, yo, I remember one time I was talking to Lou, and I'm like, bro, I can't believe I was really doing them type of things. And I literally just had to take a moment and ask for forgiveness. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you think in the midst of it, it's like we normalize sin. You know what I mean? Makes sense so cool. And it's like, yeah, I'm fucking this girl, I'm fucking that girl. I'm on my six, seven, and you're literally counting. Not you're not even thinking all those generational curses you're taking on from somebody. And then it's like you have a daughter, and you're like, oh, I don't want her to be like that. I don't want. You know what I'm saying? It is a hypocritical thing. You know?
um, I was gonna say I do have I do have like a feeling though that the times have changed now since like when we were younger. The youth aren't on that as I think, right? I could be wrong, but I'm just saying from like the dynamic I'm seeing the youth these days than it was when we were growing up. You know, this we're talking, almost 20 years ago when we were at those ages of concern that we're talking about. Do you guys feel that way?
I I'm I'm gonna have to strongly, strongly disagree with that. I feel like it's
Okay.
10 times worse. I feel like
Okay.
stuff we was doing at 17, these kids are doing at 10, 11 because they have the phone in their hands. The phone is a little speed up on, even if you're not ready for it. Here it is, it's in your face. How you gonna deal with it? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the peer pressure, the TikTok videos. You want to go out, you want to go with what's cool. Yes, it's way harder, I feel like now because of technology. I'm gonna let CEO
Okay.
Socialite chime in.
Um, yes and no. I think that we're on the path that we were always destined to be on. It's always been a cycle that's been leading up to where we're at. So the progression is happening as it was supposed to, from men being taken out of households, the women's rights era movement. It's a flirting with things that should happen for the greater good, but it's a false narrative being pushed. So it's something that's positive, and behind it there's a whole agenda. So we're pushing to, like, okay, we need the yeah, I mean, we're in the age of technology, so we need these phones, right? Like, I think we touched on that last night. Swift was saying, like, yeah, he would rather his child have a phone. If we're at that point, we're at that point. I need you to be in contact with me because I need you to be safe. I need to know what's going on with you. But by the same token, that phone is a gateway to so much. So we're having to have those conversations about sex earlier. I think in two ways, it's a unique thing that's happening. So we're having to meet kids with the discussions about sex earlier, right? And they're having sex earlier. And sometimes with that extra experience, unique things are happening for the first time in like decades. The majority of women, like, I think women around the age of 30, the majority of women at the age of 30 are childless, which was not the norm. And for the first time in history, I think women in their 40s are superseding teenage mothers as far as childbirth. So whereas before the youth used to be leading in, like, having children, bearing children. Now it's older women. So there is something unique that's happening. Experience is happening so quick and such an abundance that kids they're experienced by the time they get a little bit older. It's unique things that are happening along the way. They're getting so it's not like, okay, whereas I think I would say, like, growing up, girls get to high school and then it's this pop of like hormones and like what's going on, and you have to hope that the things that your parents have taught that girl, she's going to make wise decisions. You would hope the thing for boys too, but it's not really the focus has been like that. um
Mm.
but yeah, it's a unique thing that's happening. So in one sense, it does seem like maybe the kids aren't on that. I think that they're still on that. It's just that maybe it's happening differently, and there's such a it's like, so this is such a big topic. So it's like you got to bite off a little piece here, and the masculinity is being so feminized, just like femininity is being masculized. So women are trying to be men, and men are trying to be women. And of course, no statement ever fits everyone, but there is something unique that's happening. Men are more feminine. So yeah, you do have men who are still like pushed to be whores per se. It's a unique thing because these men have always been pushed to be whores, but if you don't want your son to marry a whore, who do you want him behaving like that with? Like, who was he ever supposed? Was
Mm.
he supposed to be gay? Like, was he supposed to be? If it's only okay for men to be whores, are they supposed to be with each other? Or is he supposed to make whores and then leave a woman behind that no one wants? He's supposed to have an experience that leaves a woman marked that nobody wants. Who are these men ever supposed to behave like that with? So I think it's still going on. We're just in a different progressional period, but this was always created for us to get to this point. When you drop the value of women because men, it's men dropping the value of women. It's men in this phase of let me validate myself as a man. Because also what's happening, right? When you give men these attaboys, okay, let's see how many women you can fuck, and that tells you that you're a man. But this man has never been asked, how do you feel? Regulate your emotions. What do you want? He can't tell you anything about himself. He can't cry and not wonder, okay, am I gay? It's so much that's been stripped of these men, but the only thing that they've been allowed to validate themselves with is their penis. So they're out here creating broken households, broken women, and the men are being affected too, because these are the men that have to be fathered. They have to champion men through manhood. And the only thing that they can tell somebody is go fuck someone. So now you have these weird stories about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't know if this was a Jamaican thing, but this was a big thing in America, where young guys, their dad would set them up to have sex with like older women because he felt like, hey, it's time for you to lose your virginity. So there would be, so yeah, I think we're at the results, not even the results, we're the consequences of our actions. So yeah, we are. And then one point it maybe it doesn't seem like kids are known that because yeah, the pregnancy rates are down, but kids can have abortions like crazy. You have 19-year-olds talking about they've had 4 or 5 abortions. Girls are parading, child murdering babies in songs like it's cool. I killed my baby, I had an abortion. It's like a rite of passage. So yeah, I think we're exactly at the consequences of our actions. So in one sense, maybe it doesn't seem like we're on what we used to be on, but we're progressing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. We are progressing. Um, it that's funny. The birth rates, that's very interesting. I wasn't too educated on that. That was very interesting. That like older women are more of the ones having the children than than women in their 20s and late 20s. So that was interesting.
And and also an interesting thing that she said is like as men, when you're dating, you're not thinking about what standard am I setting? You know what I mean? Because we all say, okay, no one wants to wife a hoe. You know, as a man, that's a famous
Hmm.
saying. No one wants to be the one that wifes the girl that's been passed around. But it's like I'm going out there. What type of female am I creating when I'm just going through all these women and leaving them? You know what I mean? So that's an interesting thing. And it's like
Hmm.
that little thing, your son, you see him with a bunch of girlfriends that had a boy, your daughter is like, okay, hey, we have a problem. It's like almost like society kind of wired that double standard. And I feel like, as men, we have to break that, especially with our boys. And I know you don't have kids, Nelly, but I'm just going to throw a broad statement out. And I know we have daughters, see your socialite. So I'm going to say this. If you had a daughter, what would be the concern most about today's dating culture for her? That's a question for both you guys.
I would say
The online.
the online thing, because like there's so many apps that are being created every day, and there's stuff that like once they send it, it gets deleted. Like whoever you send something, you can't save it. You can't like there's that's something that I feel like it's just hard to really be able to put like a stern um what you call it, like a stern grasp on. Can I see and check everything, and at what age would it be like I'm kind of pushing it now? Like if they're a senior in high school and you're still searching through the phone, like is that crossing the line? Like there's a lot of gray area.
Mm. What about you, CEO Socialite? How do you feel about that?
What would be what I want to protect her from?
So, your daughter, what would be your concern about today's dating culture with her going out there in today's dating culture?
It's gonna happen. So a part of you know have to accept that. But I think with me as a woman, I would want to install so much confidence in my daughter that she knows that she doesn't have to entertain every conversation. She knows how to say no. She's always been empowered with the ability to say no. She knows what she wants to a degree and who she is to a degree, so she doesn't have to, like, there's not some void that she's willing to just fill with anything. Like, okay, this little, this guy talking to her, she's with it. This guy talking to her, and that spreads out to like social media, because you give your child something, you give them some standard, you give them something that resonates with them, like they have something to lose per se or whatever. Because if not, kids are just followers. They don't even realize it because they don't know themselves and they just want to be a part of something, but they become just followers. So I think I would just try to teach enough confidence to say no and be cool with not being a part.
Merv, Merv,
Merv,
Mervin.
I guess while he comes back,
There it is. There it is. I think
Sorry,
Mervin.
guys. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
My bad. I was having a little bad service. Can you guys hear me now?
yeah.
yep, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, okay. The phone kind of chipped out when you were talking. I think I can relate to when you said as far as the confidence, because like for me, right, when I look back at a lot of times when I was dating like wild like that, and I look and I'm like, okay, a lot of the females that had a strong parental figure in their life wasn't the ones that wasn't going for that. Hey, can I come over your house? Or no, I'm busy. They always got something to do, and some of us will stay through that challenge and they'll try to, and maybe by going through that challenge you might change. You might be like, okay, meeting the parents, you might become a better version in just instead of trying to fuck. But that's what I want to instill like in my daughter. I would love to instill like that confidence. You know what I mean? For
Hmm.
like for me, I didn't have my mom in my life, and I felt like that made me needy. From the outside, it would have been like, "Yo, Merv have a lot of girls. Yo, Merv just," but I was empty. You know what I mean? I wanted that feminine energy that I didn't that I felt like I didn't have, and I put it into women. You know what I mean? In my eyes, like yeah, I get a lot of girls, but I was missing something. So yeah, like that void, filling that void, like CEO Socialite says, is important. And with like to go back to what you say, Swift, with the technology, that is a dangerous thing, and I feel like you can prepare them for that. You can't go by today's standard. Oh, you're in high school, you're too old or you're too young. You got to set your own standards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you feel like, hey, you're 17 but I feel like you're not ready, you can be, because trust me, you have the rest of your life. When you're 18, the world doesn't stop. You know what I mean? So I feel like in each household you just got to set your own standard as
Yeah.
far as that. And it goes into my other question too, for you, Swift. As
Hmm.
men, what do you think our fears is based on? Is it experience, today's culture, or something else altogether? As far as the fear of having a daughter, like I don't want to go through that again. What do you think that comes from?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's the the experiences that I've gone through, and then the today's day and age. Where we stand in the world. Like it has a little bit to do with both. It's actually pretty spot on.
Okay. So with that double standard question, and this question is for both you guys, is the double standard fair or is there a reason behind it? Like, why are men often praised for having multiple sex partners while women are criticized for literally the same behavior? Why do you guys think that?
To be honest with you, I just feel like society put the label right. You don't sign no contract when you come onto the earth. Like this is what you're supposed to do. It's just the system. It's made us. It indoctrinated us to think like this. Unfortunately, right? Like I don't praise it. I don't think it should be that way.
Okay. How about you, CEO Socialite?
Um, I believe that everything's gonna start with men. So that's how God created things. So you have to start with men being the exception or men having a sort of standard, and then women are gonna always have to try to catch up to that. So maybe like God didn't tell, like with Adam and Eve, it wasn't a situation where he was a sexual deviant. Like, and we're still like, even with us, like we read the Ethiopian Bible, so there's a lot of question around, like, him having more children. I know that there's a tale about Lilith and stuff like that. I still don't hear just whoremongering. God didn't design it to be that way, male or female. So this whole notion that men just have to be like these animals, it's the weirdest thing when like you get this storyline about like men being compared to animals in the jungle. But if you call a man an animal in any conversation of men against men, especially here in the United States, if a man is called an animal, he's pissed. But then he tries to justify having to sleep with a lot of people. Oh, well, lions in the jungle, and the women, da 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 da, and he sleeps with everybody in the, it's just like, so are you okay with being an animal, considered an animal? Because there was supposed to be a difference between you and animals. So things are going to start with men, and the standard is going to start with men. But I don't know if you're paying attention. If you pay attention, especially here in Atlanta, women have closed that gap. They want to, anything a man is going to do, a woman is going to follow suit, because you're supposed to be the head of the household. You're supposed to be where we get a portion of our identity from. So if you're not willing to create a safe space for women, if you want to be whoremongering, that means that you have to be between multiple women. Women are going to detach. There are some that are just going to be miserable and wallow in that. There's some that's going to, curve to that. Then the majority are probably going to they're going to attach. They're going to mimic the behavior. Oh, if a man is sleeping with 10 women, when he's sleeping with number 11, what are the other 10 doing? Are they somewhere longing for him? After longing for him, after a while, it's just like, okay, I'm an idiot. I need to fill my time too. It becomes a competition. I'm going to do what he's doing as well. So even if it is a double standard or whatnot, it will, whatever's happening with one group will eventually happen with the other.
That's very true.
Okay. Yeah, that is very true, right? And I
Very
have
true.
this thing too, like, yeah, basically, hammer and nailed it. When she says men are called to a higher standard, have a higher accountability, it goes back to even in the garden. When God came, who was the first person he called to when they sinned? Adam. He held Adam
Hmm.
to a higher standard. So it's just like, I feel like men, instead of leading with God, we're looking to, and everyone is, but men mostly is looking to entertainment to show to lead to. Because as she's saying, women, like she just gave that example, a guy have 11 girls, right? If he's with
Hmm.
one, what are the other 11 doing? They be like, oh, I'm stupid. Now, after doing that over time, and the enemy loves this, giving confusion. Everything outside of God is going to be is going to be bullshit. Let's be real. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So when you
Hmm.
living in sin, it's easy to get caught up in that confusion. Men are not leading the right way. They're going. You know what I mean? And it all goes back to, like, as a man, can you really expect qualities in a spouse that you never practice?
Yeah.
Like, look at the delusional thing of it, though, right? We're one someone that's never have any bodies, damn near a virgin. You know what I mean? But we're not like that, though. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Interesting how
Well,
that works, huh?
yeah, that is very interesting. And leading up with entertainment, that's why I feel like entertainment, I'm not gonna blame it, but in this world where entertainment has such a huge impact, it does create those false narrative. You know what I mean? Women thinking, okay, I gotta be a certain type. And then you have the average Joe 9 to 5 looking on what his social media, seeing all these women, and he'd be like, "Oh, well, I gotta be a scammer. I gotta, you know what I mean?" So he start compromising values, whether he starts selling drugs or starts scamming to do a little thing to create a perception that he thinks a woman want to be, and the woman thinking like, "Okay, these guys, they only want this because the rappers are all what's been promoted." You know what I mean? And it's all a false illusion, because when those two get together, that lust wears off. And then it's like who you are at the core. If you're not a good person, if you're not a clean person, you're a woman, if you're not submissive, a man, if you don't know how to protect, you don't know how to make a woman feel secure. You know what I mean? The qualities, all of it's gonna crumble without God. I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
talk.
No, that's true. Without God, it's just not gonna work.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna have a
No, no,
question
that's it.
as
That's
a
that's
man.
that's that's pretty much that's it. That's it.
Okay, so this, if I have a question when men are dating, right? Why do some people, like, as men, you know how when you're in that when you're in the dating room and you're like, okay, we all have those girls we separate. Okay, this is just fun, and we call it wifey, quote unquote wifey type. Where do you
Hmm.
think that come from? Like, why do you think some men pursue one type of woman, choose that woman for fun, but someone else they'd be like, this is wifey type, and the wifey type may not even be the one they go out and have the most fun with. It be the most reserved. She shut him down. Hey, nah, bro, you know it's 7 o'clock. I'm not leaving the house. And you're like, man, you lame. You laughing it off. But deep in, there's a respect that gets formed for that. Why do you think that is as a man?
Um, Honestly, I think it's kind of just, it depends where you are, like maturity wise as a man,
Mm,
right? Like it's gonna be different for an 18-year-old than a 28-year-old.
okay.
Um, and as you get older, you're gonna start realizing like what's what because of experience, right? Like who wakes up in the morning and you get a text like, did you have breakfast?
Hmm.
Did you go to things that are more meaningful than just lust and sexual advancements,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I
did
agree.
you have breakfast? Did you sleep
Did you
good
eat
last
today?
night? Even as easy as, did you sleep good last night?
Yeah.
Those things are more valued to me personally at the point in, I'm 35 years old, at the point in life that I am now. That's what I would value. But it may not be, and I'm saying this because that wasn't my thought process when I was 18, right?
Did you have examples of men around you who
Okay.
challenged that thought process? Like who would have shown you like a difference in thought process?
I don't, I'm the only boy. I have three sisters, and then my dad was the type of person that was um, like Mervin was saying, if you go out to a party, here's a box of condoms. Having a
Gotcha.
bunch of
Yeah.
sex is cool. Stuff like he kind of promoted that. So I didn't have the double standard, or the other perspective ever really be put to me um, at those times in my life.
Gotcha.
Hmm. How about you, Merv? Did you have somebody that could have given you positive feedback in that department?
Oh no, I didn't. I literally just I was out here freestyling it. Like deep in right from the outside, it'll look like, oh, Merv is a player. But every single female I've dated, I've like I dated a lot and moved around a lot because I was always searching for something. There was a void that was there. But every time I knew I was eventually going to be this family man, I knew that's what I wanted. I knew I wanted to have a son just like how my dad was. I eventually knew I wanted a daughter, but I always used to say things like, I have to be married. I didn't even know what that mean. Now I know what I'm because I wanted an example to be set for my daughter to break that cycle. So every
Hmm.
time I was with a female, I'll ask questions like, hey, why do you do this? And they'll be like, to meet people. So I take note, okay, loneliness. So I make sure I'm extra jokey with my daughter. I try to create, of course, boundary, but you know what I'm saying? Like, not just be heard. And yes, I try to make sure I'm there. Because a lot of it was a void in females I was noticing, and I was like, okay, I don't want my daughter to have that. I don't want my daughter to have that. Definitely, a lot of it too was that father figure. Oh, I can't, my dad, da da da. Or if there's a male figure in the household, I'm not gonna dare try to sneak in the house. Or you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So it's just like little stuff. I'm like, okay. So I knew that I had to be married. I always tell myself that in order to get a daughter, I got to be married because I have to set an example for my daughter. So that I didn't have that example, but what I did have though was going to church from an early stage. I might not have been deep in the word at 13, but even though I faltered, I always had something to ground me right back. So I always slightly had that fear of God always in me. You know what I mean? It is deeper now than it was then, but I think that fear of God to certain things, like I used to say, I wouldn't mess with married women. Like that was all like I before I even understood the value of the covenant, I knew that was a no go for me. So I think that was a big thing, the anchor for me. Like being brought up in the church kept certain values, and then Well, you know what I mean? Once I met my wife, I kind of like, okay, start understanding the value of marriage, and a lot of things make sense to me now.
See, so just so experience, you would say, like that would be
Yeah,
the.
you said something too, not to cut you off, but you said something too. When I got to the age of 25, certain conversations started mattering more. Okay, this girl checked on me. She asked me, did I eat today? Something literally simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Literally. Oh man. Like, and it's like conversation me and Louis be having, like, yo, she asked me, did I eat today? Like you out there, you know what I'm saying? The other five just want something from you. You know what I mean? When you're available to do that, send money for nails, but this one actually checking on you. This one, you know what I mean, makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel like appreciated. And that's when I learned too, like women want to feel loved. Man, we more care about feeling respected and appreciated. You know what I mean? Like the two work hand to hand. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, they both work hand in hand. It's different moments in your life that made you feel right, like different um satis like different satisfaction when it came to a woman engaging with
Hey,
you,
hey,
right?
1 second, 1 second. CEO socialized said she can't hear you. I'm
Okay.
gonna take you off and put you right back in. 1 second.
Okay.
Mic check. Can you hear him?
Yo, yo, yo.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Swift.
Um,
Did you hear the question, CEO
say it again.
socialite?
Hold on, say it again too. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Okay, so I kind of lost mine too. So we'll just pick up with the question I had. Why do some people so should one person's past matter when choosing a spouse? Why or why not? Like if you're dating, right, and we all like as men, we know that what we didn't did in the past should our and this goes for both you guys. Should someone's past matter when dating or choosing a spouse?
Ooh. I'm gonna let socialite engage and then I'll follow up.
Yes, yes. And I want women to hear this. Women, I'm speaking to you. I'm pouring into you. Stop potentialing women because it's a nurturing aspect, right? We decide to turn off certain things because we're supposed to be the feminine head of a household. So we're almost like I'd say like the ultimate sidekick or whatnot. But in a sense, it's just like that. Like you're supposed to be the if the man is supposed to finish the race, you're supposed to run up and hand him the baton before he crosses that finish line, right? So with that comes a lot of characteristics like being nurturing. So you see the future potential in your children and you want to build a family up to its potential, right? That's why we're so good at building things and structuring things and whatnot. Whereas maybe the man is the one who puts in work, they bring back resources and we use those resources to build something. So we take a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and we try to discard the rest. And we go out here and we potential people, and people have telltale signs that show you, okay, if this man has 6 kids, 7 kids, he's with none of his children's mothers. He can't say anything positive about them. He can't tell you what size shoes his children wear, what their favorite food is. He can't tell you. There's no story about like. I opted to put myself on child support because no matter what she's, I don't care, even if she's difficult. I opted there because there are ways to manage both sides. There's a court system. Even if you don't want to get it tied into that, you can still use that if you need to. Like, if you have all these red flags, there was this woman, there's this girl who has a song, and she's talking about how your 3 baby mamas, that's why I aborted my baby. If you knew when you were consensually having sex with him that he had 3 kids by 3 different women, but now that you're pregnant, it's a deal breaker for you. So a person's past absolutely matters. If because people really don't change. You start seeing characteristics of people and as children, like the foundation starts to get set when they start making consistent decisions and behaving like this, looking for certain types of responses, looking for certain types of attention, and then that hones into certain friend groups, and they keep making certain like variations of that of those decisions. There are some people you can say, you know what, he was fucking up a lot, but he always had a good heart. versus the guy is just like, yo, he's a piece of shit. He was always a piece of shit. He lied a lot. Like, he confused me. He manipulated me. He gaslighted me. He was a narcissist, or she was a narcissist. The foundation, if the foundation is cracked, the past absolutely matters. Now, that's the difference of somebody weathering the storm and having to tighten up certain things. Like, we all maybe in these days and day and age, like, we don't have the two-parent household that pours into us to where we can know certain things about ourselves early on, so that we don't have to just be out here learning as we go. Like, we grow through a lot of relationships. um so it's one thing for a person to maybe say, you know what, to a person get some therapy and say, you know what, I was like this because this happened to me as a child. I had unresolved trauma as a child. This happened to me, and I'm not going to do that to anyone. But if you have a past that shows you this is not an ideal partner for me, that's why you have so many people who get married, and after the weight of loneliness has subsided, now they're not lonely. They're expecting someone. That void is filled from loneliness. Now it's just like, saying, I'm always looking at you. Now, I like to be by myself. Why are you always in the room with me? But you knew that person was like that before, so why did you marry that person? So you have to pay attention to a person's past, their consistent behaviors, and their present, to know if that aligns with what's best for you, and be honest. Like, write down a little, because women are horrible at potentialing the fuck out of things, and men do it too. Men have their versions of it too. Well, if I take care of this, she gonna change. If I do this, she gonna be a little different. If I provide for her,
Hmm.
she gonna get out the strip club. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, cut
Yeah.
that shit out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're so right. And it's like it all goes back to leading into the stuff, like you said, hey, if I take care of this, then she'll change. Like that is so I never thought about it like that. That's real.
Yeah, those are interesting points, you see, because we don't look at it, we don't take time, I guess, to dissect these things and to look at the other side, like the perspectives of, to each his own, and you can learn, these are learning curves.
I think you just said it, bro. We don't take time. Life is so at a fast pace. You know what I mean? And then it's just like think about the places we're meeting
Facts.
these people in. You meeting someone at the club, you go home, y'all one night stand, you're not really getting to know somebody. You know what I mean? And then wow, kid happened, and then it's like a tug on war. Y'all really finding out who each other's is. It's crazy out here. It's
It's
crazy. We're not
crazy. It's
actually
crazy.
taking
It's
the
too
time to
complicated.
we're not dating with a purpose. It's just a lust driven. You know what I
Yes,
mean? And once that
yes.
wears off, the real you is just like, and then it's like either I'm gonna stick around or I'm a dip. And she said one thing too, like a lot of men don't do. Like as far as men, be like, okay, cool. If you make that mistake, put yourself on child support. Get right to your kids. Break that generational curse. You know what I mean? Like that's the one. I'm not big on politics. You know what I mean? For my own reasons, because I feel like according to the Bible, with the tribulation, all gonna fall to hell anyways. But there's one thing that Donald Trump did promote that I was like, okay, I can stand with that, and that's the abortion thing. No more abortions. I feel like that will hold men to be more accountable. You know what I mean? If you go because men, like women control sex, men controls marriage. Let me say that. What I mean by that is you, no matter how much game he spits you, no matter how flashy, whatever he is, up to you to open up your legs to that man, just like it's up to that man to get on his knees and marry you. You know what I mean? So if we both control that and then we start like knowing our value, then I feel like a lot of things will be different. And of course, put God in, because without God, nothing is going to work. So that's one of the things like I kind of see, because it's just like, okay, if I know that if this woman is not gonna let me have sex with her unless I marry her, my whole thought process is gonna be different. You know what I mean? Even in dating, same vice
Okay.
versa. Like, okay, cool. This man gotta I have to have a ring on my finger, certain values a woman been brought up with before you know what I mean, have that value that, hey, this is my golden egg, my vagina. Like, only a husband can get this. So I feel like if we all have different intentions when we're dating, like she said, dating for the right reasons, a lot of this wouldn't happen. But that's what the enemy like. He loves confusion. You know, he loves confusing women, confusing men. And then what do you get out of that? More masculine women, more feminine men. Sorry, Swift. Go ahead.
No, it's a really good point what you put up. The enemy, that his it's confusion. Like, if you notice, it's there's no way to like decode this. Like, it all. it all intertwines with, like, subjectively, if whoever fits, whatever fits whoever's narrative, then that's their best solution, for them. And it's interesting, but it's because, the enemy wants to confuse you. That's you couldn't have said it any better. That's
And I love what you said, but I would say the fix to it is the Bible. I don't care whether you talk about going to therapy. The Bible promotes all that. You know what I mean? Therapy, healing with itself, getting closer to God. That's all therapy. That's all healing. You know what I mean? Mental, physical, trauma, all that is healing. And once you start getting closer to God, your frequency will change because water seeks its own level, like my wife always says. You know what I mean? So I feel like once you start vibrating on a different frequency, whether you don't believe in God, but you want to say the universe give you something, then you will attract what you are. You know what I mean? Because if you're like a piece of shit to the core, or I know times in my life when I just wasn't aligned with God, I attract where I was. And now I look back, I'm like, yo, thank you for those tests. Because it definitely, and it goes back to what CEO Socialite says as far as your past does matter. Because if you take that out, you know what I mean? It makes you who you are, whether you choose to learn from those mistakes or not. It
hmm
definitely
hmm
it plays a huge part in where you are in life, male or female.
it almost gravitate towards you. Like, it's funny how it works, but it almost like it gravitates towards you.
Hmm.
There's a
And
pull.
before I go, I'm gonna end it off. I have like three questions for both you guys.
Okay.
What would you want? What would you want your daughter date? Would you want your daughter dating someone like you for you, CEO, your son? Like, would you want the person who you are? Would you want your child dating someone like you, and why?
Absolutely, because I've always had my soul has such proximity to just being genuine. God is like giving me just naturally in life or whatnot. I was born feeling kind of full in a sense. Like I did have maybe voids from like not having a good relationship with my parents or whatnot, but and so who I am as a person, I've never wanted something that somebody else has had. I've come like when I was born into life with everything I kind of needed in a sense. I always just wanted to be a mom and create a family community. Like my biggest dream is to have a get a couple acres and have a compound and be able to give my children acres on that compound and say, hey, I'm going to co-sign for you, go build you a house, and then they can just thrive and they don't, they can exist in life. It's not like a rat race. So when you come from a place of even your earliest desires having are deep rooted in your future. I didn't want cheap thrills. I didn't want to just go lay up with someone. I could have it's very few people like this still to this day. They exist. I'm also from Mississippi. So I could have gotten married as a teenager and stayed with the same person, ongoing throughout life, and it would have been enough for me. My son, my oldest son, I'm still waiting to see the personalities of my other sons, but my oldest son is like that. He's one of those people who could really be in one relationship ongoing or whatnot. He has a traditional soul. So for him, absolutely, absolutely. I'm so confident. There's nothing about me. There's not somebody right now, right hand on the Bible. There's not somebody who's going to come forth and be like, I shitted on them. Oh, they can't say I robbed them, I set them up, I did wrong by them, I fucked over them. And I sleep good at night because of those things. Like I don't have any negative stories that are out there because I don't need things from other people. I've led my life a certain way. So yeah, I would absolutely love for my son to be with someone like me and my daughters to have friends like me.
Okay. What about you, Swift?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not a bad person. I went through a lot of things in my life and stuff, and learning experiences, and if it didn't happen this way, I would not have gotten or searched for God. Like,
Mm.
that's like my biggest thing is, like, I had
Love
to go
that.
through these tribulations for me to find, a bigger and better purpose, something that was gonna fulfill me that I, didn't have. And
Okay.
I was tired of searching and looking for that void to be filled. And it's gonna happen on its own. Like you're people will notice that go through this. It's literally when you start reading the Bible and you start getting closer to God and searching for God that you feel like this like need to keep searching more and keep looking more. It's very interesting.
Okay, and I'm gonna end with one more question, only because I'm here right now. My destination. We're gonna do a part two after this. What double standard would you guys like to see disappear? Just to give me a quick answer for our closeout.
Honestly, the one that I would like to see disappear is the that it's cool for guys to sleep around just because I feel like it's bad for health purposes. People,
Mm-hmm.
right? A contact and disease, and the you're like you're letting enter somebody inside of you like a certain like a part of their soul comes with you
Mm.
to, that can open a portal to a lot of
Yeah, I definitely believe that
bad
we can take on
things.
generational curses from other people. Yeah, and also we got to go back to setting the standard. You know what I mean?
Setting
Like we got
standard,
to go
yeah.
back to being a leader. Yeah, like I feel like it does start with men. How about you, CEO Socialite?
I think root cause. I would like to get away from men's mental health not mattering. I want men to
Mhm.
be able to be um in spaces where their emotions matter, where they can talk about being hurt, where they can cry, where they can be aware of who they are. That doesn't make them soft. It just creates awareness because it's way too many numb men out here who are just on autopilot and creating families
Mhm.
and weird stuff happens when that happens. Midlife crisis, men, suicide of men is way too large. Men being they aren't really honest about who they are. They will become who they need to be to get whatever end result they want because it's like they don't have enough awareness of self. Not being honest about itself. I think honest about themselves. There's like appropriately, I mean this, like the DL community is way too high. If you don't go leave them damn women alone and go be honest about who you
Yeah.
are, like, and all that comes back to a man just having awareness of his emotions. Like men need therapy, they need to be loved, they need to, just like someone's daughter is like a space is created for her to say I hurt, I feel like this, and it's like she is like, you know what I mean, is she can grow up and thrive out of that
Mhm.
space. We need to do that for men. So I don't want, just like I don't want women to be like, oh, okay, women can't, which I think men and women need to dial it back on the sleeping around thing or whatever. But just like, oh, okay, men get a pass on having 1,000 partners or doing this or doing that, but women can't do it. Just like if we take care of men in the essence of it, their feelings, their emotions, making them aware, creating good foundations for them. A lot of these men have been molested out here. They've been raped by women and men, not just by men, by women too. It's like
Hmm.
Mhm.
pedophilia is a big thing in both genders. But nobody hears about that. Nobody cares about the little boy that got raped. Nobody cares, especially if he got raped by a woman. So
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
want,
Hmm.
That's so true.
yeah, that's a huge thing. I want men to have safe environments to feel so that they can thrive and they can be the head of households that we need. They can be the girl dads that we need. They can be the husbands that we need and they can create the safe spaces for women so that women can thrive.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that was well said. Well said.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's been great, man. Great conversation as always. We're gonna have to touch back on this a little bit, but yeah, thank you guys so much, man,
All
and
right. Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys for being on here. And for the audience, I want to leave y'all with a question. What advice would you give your son and your daughter about relationships today? Think about who you are, what you're putting out there, the energy you're putting out there, and it starts with our kids. We gotta the kids is gonna be the next generation. You know what I mean? Iron sharpens iron. Thank you guys, man, and God bless you guys.